I own Eskaped. It's a mobile escape room where I lock people in trailers and they have to solve puzzles and find clues and try to figure out how to escape. Me and a friend, the short story, we bought a 1969 Airstream trailer, one of those silver, shiny guys, and we fixed it up, had needed a lot of work, fixed it up, and then built some puzzles and just started locking people inside of it. And it's kind of grew from there. No one's in the room with them, and they just come in and there's a key or a keypad that they need to get to and get the combination for to escape. And so they just have to solve everything in sort of a sequence. I don't really sequence my rooms like this is what you do first, this is what you do second. It's more of like you have to solve these 10 things for this, and this to be available. And so you're kind of some people will be ahead of other people, but then they have to stop because these people haven't caught up to give them the clue they need. And so it really is very, very automated though, which is a really fun part of the design process too. Coming up with puzzles is definitely an interesting art, if I can call it an art, because there's a lot of aspects you have to think of. And it's really helped me, in life to evaluate a problem from all ends. And who it affects and what it affects, instead of just looking at it kind of one-dimensionally. I look at things much more three-dimensionally or eight-dimensionally. Some of it is watching people in here and they'll try something different and I'm like, wow, I did not even think that would be a cool puzzle though. Or a lot of it is just sitting down and I kind of come up with an objective of what I want someone to accomplish or do. Whether it be I want two people to work together and I want them to have to do something individually, but since they're racing the clock, it has to be this challenging thing that can be frustrating. And so then I kind of, with that narrative built, I build something around that. Say, okay, well, I need to keep them separate this way, and that's just really how I build them. I get inspiration from lots of different things. I like to go to DI or thrift stores and walk around. Because you always, especially in the toy section, because you'll see really creative things that translate really well to puzzles. And so I get motivation from lots of different things. The very first group we did, or one of the first groups we did, we'd done some little test groups with friends, but the first group we did was a troubled youth group. And to see how much value it brought and how fun it was for them and just how they could see their potential and they all had little wins within the room. That was probably the greatest, the hugest motivator I think that we've had. I've failed many, many times. Probably the best one I can think of, and this is just a good example, is we sponsored an event that was kind of a failing event, and we wanted it to happen. It was close to us, and we just thought it'd be a good event for us to go to, so we sponsored it, kind of pushing them back up so they could actually do it, which was a red flag. We shouldn't have done that. But so we spent a lot of time and money in this event. We show up. They put us in like a weird alleyway where no one could see us. And I think we had 3 people do it. We brought like 2 different trailers there. We decorated them all different for the event. And I think we made $15. And so it was a big, big failure, especially at the time because we were pretty new. And so that was probably our biggest failure so far. We actually learned, I learned a lot. In fact, I actually quote that as something I'm very grateful for happening, just because it kind of taught us what's smart to do as marketing and what, it just kind of, and it also put it all on us. Like it was our mistake. Yes, they did some things that were not the best for us, but we had our due diligence and we didn't really vet them properly. And really the realization that it was on us, that we made this mistake and that's going to happen. We're going to make lots of mistakes. And so in the end, I was happy I did it because I learned a lot and it could have been much, much worse. Really making up my mind has been the biggest challenge. And I don't know if I could say I've really gotten past it. It's a constant battle of, is this the right thing to do? Should I do this? But I think that's definitely been the biggest challenge, just because the inability to make up my mind on things kind of makes us not this as dependable as we'd like to be, and so that's caused lots of problems. I think the biggest thing that I would do differently is find a pain within a market and solve that. And that was always hard for me to wrap my head around, because I lock people in trailers. That's not necessarily solving a pain. It doesn't seem like it, but there's lots of inherent value in it, and that solves pains. And so in hindsight, I would have found one market and focused on them, instead of saying everybody loves it, so it's great for everybody. I would have picked one market and stuck with them. You have to focus on one market. We definitely made that mistake over and over again. Even when we tried to focus on one market, it's very tantalizing when you see other people interested, and if you just focus on one market, you'll grow so much bigger and grow so much more of a fan base, and then you can grow in concentric circles and pick up more people. And if you don't focus at the start, then you're scrambling all throughout your business. I get to meet lots of awesome people. We lock from 12-year-old birthday parties to a bunch of doctors for a work retreat. So we get to interact with lots of different people and kind of see them struggle with the same things and see how different people think. And then as well as building the puzzles, it's really fun to design new rooms and figure out ways that you're going to trick people or test them in different ways. So that's been really fun. I didn't like the idea of having a ceiling, and the potential is limitless when you start a business. But also just the freedom to create and do what I wanted. I've been in creative jobs before, but there was always kind of, you could create to an extent, or you had to create within what someone else visualized. And with this, the sky was the limit. I could do whatever I wanted. I could build whatever I wanted and do it however I wanted. For one, the freedom that it allows. I've got 2 little girls, and I'm able to see them all the time. I make them breakfast all the time. And so there's definitely freedom there, but it's also been a huge learning experience. I've been able to, things that I believed last week are completely changed this week. I'm always learning, always growing, always improving. I hope I'm improving. And that's definitely been the biggest experience. I'm always challenging myself. I'm never comfortable. Like I said, when we failed, I was able to take responsibility for it and say, this was on me, this was my fault. So when we have hard times, I can do the same thing. I can say, this was my fault, I need to take responsibility for this, and then I need to figure out what I need to do to fix this. I can't slack this off on my boss or someone else. It's my responsibility. And I've really grown through that, and I've been able to solve some really big problems and really work things out. And so I've developed faith in myself just by learning and growing and believing in myself when things seemed impossible, and then pushing forward. When we started, there wasn't many escape rooms. There was not hardly any. I think there was one in Utah, and they had just opened. And so we could have named it lots of different things, but we didn't want it to be the typical name. And so we liked the idea of escape, like to liberate, to get an escape, something different. And but Eskaped.com was taken. So we're like, well, let's spell it with a K. Does that make sense? And Escape with a K was also taken, because I believe in Portuguese, that's how you spell it. And so then we just resorted to Eskaped with a D at the end, which looking back seems kind of silly, but we've liked it. We've really liked the name, and I was able to create a logo off of it, which was fun. So Eskaped, that's how I was born. I'm not a creepy person. I'm not a weirdo. When I told my wife that I wanted to lock people in trailers, I was worried that she thought I was a crazy person, but it's all fun, not weird. So that's my last minute.